Ever wondered how some developers keep their code so clean and efficient even as projects get bigger? So, one of the key tricks is method overloading in Java. This concept is essential because it allows you to simplify your code. Interviewers love to ask about it because it tests your understanding of how Java handles flexibility and efficiency in coding. So, if you want to impress your interviewer and show that you are a good developer, you need to understand method overloading. And today, we are going to help you master it. Now, before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to never miss any update. So what is method overloading? So method overloading in Java refers to defining multiple methods with same name in the same class but with different method signatures. The method signature includes the number of parameters, type of parameters, and the order of parameters. This allows you to perform similar actions using the same method name but with different inputs. Now, the main advantage of method overloading is that it allows multiple versions of a method to exist under the same name, handling various input cases in a clear and organized way. The Java compiler decides which method to execute based on the method signatures, that is, the method name and its parameters at compile time. Alright, as you can see on the screen, display A with a single parameter and display the function display A comma B, which has the two parameters. So this is method overloading. Now we will definitely understand it in detail in the further tutorial in this one only. But before that, we need to understand why method overloading. So to understand this, imagine you are developing a shopping application for an online store where customers can add items to their shopping cart in different ways. So some customers add an item by providing just the product ID. Others specify the product ID along with the quantity. And some might even want to include details like product ID, quantity, and special instructions like color or size. Now, without method overloading, you would have to create multiple methods for each case. For example, add to cart by ID, add to cart by ID and quantity, and add to cart by ID, quantity, and details. Now, this approach makes the code more complex and harder to manage. Although the methods perform the same function, adding items to cart, they have different names, leading to redundancy and confusion. You can definitely do that, but this approach is not the best approach. With method overloading, you can define a single method add to cart and overload it to handle different input scenarios. Java automatically chooses the right method based on the number and type of arguments passed. For example, add to cart product ID. And then the function name would be same, but the number of parameters would be different. For example, in the first case, there is product ID. In the second function, it is product ID and quantity. So the difference between these two functions is the number of parameters. In the first function, there is only one parameter, that is the product ID. In the second function, there are two parameters, that is product ID and quantity. Alright, in the third function, again, the function name is same, but now product ID, quantity, and special details. So this approach keeps the code clean, reduces the duplication, and improves the readability. It allows you to use a single meaningful method name for various sections, making your program more efficient and easier to maintain. In essence, method overloading provides flexibility by enabling different variations of an action under common function name, while letting the code adapt to different user inputs. Here we are letting the code to adapt to different user inputs because in the first case we use product ID. In the second case we use different parameters, that is product ID and quantity, and so for the third case. So we are making the function capable of doing that. So it is a better approach of doing that. This is called method overloading. Now, how to implement method overloading in Java? Alright, so let's understand this. Now, method overloading in Java is implemented by creating multiple methods with same name but different parameter lists. Now, the key to method overloading is that these methods must differ in the number, type, or order of parameters. Here are the main ways to implement method overloading. For example, first one is by changing the number of parameters, then by changing data type of parameters, and by changing order of parameters. Alright. So let's just go ahead and understand each one of them. So basically you can achieve method overloading by all three of these steps, but it's up to you. Now we will understand each of this method overloading steps, how you can achieve that. For example, the first one is by changing the number of parameters. So method overloading by changing the number of parameters. All right. Now you can overload a method by defining multiple versions that accept a different number of arguments. For example, one version of a method might take one parameter and another might take two parameters. All right. Now, as you can see on the screen, is a basic syntax to make you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. So basically, first display function and the second display function. There are two display function as you can see on the screen. So first one is taking only one input, that is only one parameter, and the second function is taking two parameters, that is int a and int b. All right. So this is what we are trying to do. So we are basically overloading this function or a method by defining its multiple versions. So we are defining multiple versions of display and we are just changing the number of arguments here. All right, the number of parameters or the number of arguments. All right, so this is how you can achieve the method overloading. You can perform this as we already discussed. This is the better approach of doing that rather than making every single function for everything. This is a better approach of it. So this is how you can achieve method overloading by changing the number of parameters. All right. Now let's understand this part in more detail with the help of a fine example. All right. So let's do an example of method overloading by changing the number of parameters. All right. So first of all, as we know that we have to create, we'll start with creating the main function and then we'll create the different functions with the same name. All right. So first of all, let's start with the main function, public static void main. Now inside this, we have to write string. We know the drill, right? String arguments. All right. So here, first of all, we'll have to create what we call an object. And from that object, we will call the methods. All right. So the name main, which is the class name, and obj, this is the object name, new keyword, then main. That's it. So this is how we create an object. Now using the object name, we will call the functions. So whatever we will write after obj, that is, we'll write the function name and then we'll simply call them. Also, we'll pass the arguments. So before that, uh, before calling it, let's create the name of the functions, right? That is the main thing that we want to cover first. All right, so the name, let's name it public static, no, public void show. The name of the function is show, and yeah, let's keep it this way as of now. And the second function again, we'll have to create the same public void show. All right, now here using the name of the object, we will call a function and pass an argument. So in this particular function, that is the first function, we'll be passing a single argument. So we have wrote only one parameter, that is int a variable a with an int value. All right, in the second one, we'll be passing two parameters, int a and int b. All right, now here as you can see, let me just write it like this, obj dot show. Here we'll be passing two values. So basically this particular call will call this particular function and this particular call will call the second function, because here there are two parameters. All right, so this method with one parameter will be called when we will execute this particular thing. All right, and we will overload this method with two parameters when we'll call this particular function. All right, because here obviously if we'll call this particular function, this will not be executed because here is only one argument. So basically we are overloading this method, this one method, with two parameters. All right, so let me write it for you. This function calls method with one parameter, and this particular function All right. Okay, now let's write down in between the what we call the code body. So let's do that. Sum.out.println. All right, here we'll write number. All right, we are simply printing it. So here there are two numbers. So instead of number, we'll write numbers. We want to display numbers and then the numbers we want to display. So this is how we'll do it. Okay, now let's try to run this. I hope it works. So as you can see on the screen, number 10 and numbers 10, 20. So as I already told you that this particular function, this call method is calling this particular method with one parameter, and this particular call is overloading this method with two parameters. Now if we'll let's comment it out. All right, now if we'll execute this, what do you think what will be displayed? Obviously number 10 and 20, because we're passing this particular arguments, the number of arguments, the number of parameters. So obviously it will choose the function having two arguments or parameters. All right, so it will not choose this one because here only one parameter is there. So I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. This is how you can do method overloading. This is one way of doing it. All right, now let's understand the next part. All right, now coming to the second part, that is method overloading by changing the data type of parameters. As its name is suggesting, in this particular case, we will change the data type of parameters rather than the number of parameters. So it's another way to implement method overloading. It's like the changing the data type, that is whether it is string, int, or double. So by changing the data type of parameters, methods can be overloaded by having the same name but handling different types of inputs. All right, so as we can see on the screen, again we have made another function, two functions actually, show and show, same name. But in the first case, the parameter data type is int, that is integer, so it is accepting the integer value only, and the second function is accepting the string value only. All right, although the function looks same in terms of the name of the function and the number of parameters of the function, but the data type of parameters are different. Now if we will pass, for example, let's suppose we'll call a function show. All right, we'll make a show function call. So in that particular function, if we'll pass 5, so what do you think which function will be called? You can just comment down below. But let me tell you guys, if you call the function show and pass a integer value, that is 5, then it will automatically go to the first show function, which is accepting the integer value. Similarly, if you'll call show function and pass a the name of somebody, like let's say Sam, which is a string value, if you pass that, then automatically this will go to the second function, not the first function, because now the second function is the only one which is accepting the string value. So as simple as that. So we are basically changing the data type of parameter and we are achieving the method overloading. All right, so this is how you can do that. Now let's understand it in more detail with the help of an example. All right, public static void main. All right, so now inside this main function, again we know the drill. First of all, we'll create a object, main obj, new keyword, main. All right, now here we'll be calling the same thing will happen here as well, but this time we'll be changing the parameters. Basically we will overload a method with a different parameter. So as we know, in the previous example, we did it by changing the number of parameters. Here we'll do it by the changing the data type of parameters. So one function will have a different data type and another function will have a different data type. All right, so as you can see on the screen, I have written the main function. Now I'll be creating the function or method, public void show, here int a, system.out.println. All right, so here we'll write this time integer. Okay,
and we'll display it. And another function will create. Let's just copy paste it. And this time here, instead of integer, we'll be writing it as, let's say, double. Okay, so this particular value will be of double type and this particular value will be of integer type. Okay, simple as that. So basically we will overload this method with double parameter. All right, so this method is with int parameter and we will overload this method with double parameter. Now using the name of the object obj.show, and we'll pass the arguments. So 10 is passed, then obj.show again. Now here we'll pass 10.7, let's say. So it is a double, so we can pass the decimal value. It's fine. And yeah, let's try to run this program now. No, but let's change this thing. Double. All right, now let's try to run this. All right, so as you can see, integer 10 and double 10.7 is being printed. So I hope you guys understand it. Here we are overloading this particular function by changing the double parameter. If we'll comment it out this part, then automatically it chooses this only because it is accepting the value which is of double type, and it is not, this function is not accepting the value which is of double type. So automatically this call will be received by this particular function. I can show you as well. See for yourself, 10.7 is being printed because this particular call, here we are passing a value which is of double type, and automatically this function is the one which is accepting the value of double type and not this function. So the call will go to this function itself, all right, which is basically accepting the value. All right, so I hope you guys understand this part as well. Now moving on to the next part, which is by changing the order of parameters.
All right, now third is method overloading by changing the order of parameters. All right, so we have already discussed the number of parameters by changing the number of parameters and by changing the data type of parameters. So this is the third one. Now, if the methods accepts multiple parameters of different types, the order of these parameters can be changed to achieve the method overloading. Now, in this particular case, we will not change the number of parameters, we will not change the data type of parameters, but only the order of parameters. For example, a function is there which is accepting an integer value, and the second one again is a string value. All we have to do is to just change their order. Like, we'll just switch it, that's it, as you can see on the screen. So it's a fine example. Calculate function, two calculate function we have. So first one is int a double b. It is accepting two values, one of integer value and another one is double value. All right, their data type basically. And the second function is accepting double value and second is integer value. All right, now if we will make a call to a function calculate and pass 5 comma 7.8, then what do you think which function will be called? Tell me. So basically, if we'll call this calculate function and we'll pass two parameters, that is 5 and 7.8, then automatically the first function will be called because first function is accepting the integer value at the first place and the double value at the second place. As simple as that. We will not make it complex. Similarly, if we'll call the calculate function and pass the decimal point value, like for example 35.2 and 7, all right, then it will automatically go to the second function because in this particular case the first value is of decimal type and the second value is of integer type. I hope you guys understand. So this is how we are just changing the order of it and still we can do the method overloading. Now let's do an example of this one as well.
All right, so we are back. Now let's do an example of by changing the order of parameters. So here, if the method accepts multiple parameters of different types, the order of these parameters can be changed. Simple as that. All right. So it is not a different thing, but I hope you guys understood with the help of example that is being showed on your screen. But let's do an example here as well. Now again, we'll create the main function. All right, public static void main. All right, now again the object will create main, that is the class name, object name, new keyword and main, like this. So we have created the object. Now using this object we'll be calling the functions, as we know, as we already did, but this time the distinction is that we'll change the order, not the number of parameters. The number of parameters will be same. The data type of the parameters will be same. Only the order of parameters will be different. For example, first in a first function, first there is integer and next it is double. All right. But in the second function, first there is double and second parameter is integer. So in this way we'll do it. Let's have a look at it. So public void show. All right. Now inside this we'll pass, what should we pass, like integer a and let's say string b. Okay, so these two values are being passed. Now system dot out dot print ln. Now inside it we'll pass numbers, number only, number and a text. Will write something like that. Okay, so we'll write, yeah, here we'll write text. All right. Now similarly, we'll just copy this function, but this time string will be here, string b and integer a will be here. So basically what we did, we basically changed the order. Here as we can see, integer a is first and string is b, but here string b is first and integer a is at the second number. Basically we have changed the order of it. That's it, nothing else. Okay. Now but here also we'll have to do the same. Here we'll write text and after text we'll write b and here we'll write number and here we'll write a. Okay, now coming to the main function where we will be calling these functions obj.show. So wait, yeah, all right, but this time we'll be calling the second function first. So we'll write b, which is a string value. So string value can be, let's say simple world, and then the integer value will be passing. Okay, so integer value can be 50. Okay, so first let's just run this program. So what do you think, guys? This particular call, which function will execute by this particular call? Tell me. You can comment down below. All right, so let's run it and figure it out. So as you can see on the screen, text world number 50. All right, so this particular function is being executed. And why? Because this particular function is accepting string value first and then the integer value. So it's like that. But if we'll reverse it, for example, if we'll make it 50 and write world or anything, then this particular function will be executed. Why? Because here integer is first and here is also integer first and string is second and here is also string second. So it will go to the particular function which is having the same order as we are passing it. I hope you guys understand this point. So let's run this so that you can understand it better. Number 50 text world. All right, I hope you guys are understanding what I'm trying to show you. obj.show. Now first function will be executed and second function will be executed. As you can see, number 50 text world number 50, as simple as that. So this is how you can achieve method overloading, by changing the order of parameters. All right, I hope you guys understand this.
Now let me ask you something. Are you ready to take your tech skills to the next level and open doors to new career opportunities? Our Masters in Computer Science program is perfect for anyone aiming to thrive in the development world. In this program, you will explore everything from advanced Java to data structures, algorithm, design and analysis, full stack development, and whatnot. So don't wait, click the link in the description and start your journey today. Also, we believe that every individual has unique path to success, and sometimes all it takes is a little guidance to unlock your full potential. Our expert career advisors are ready to help you discover the path that's perfect for you. So don't miss out on this chance to invest in your future. Click the link in the description below to book your free counseling session today, and let's start building the career you have always dreamed of. Alright folks, that's a wrap on method overloading in Java. In this video, we have covered what is method overloading, why method overloading, and how to implement method overloading in Java with hands-on examples. Now, if you have got any questions, drop a comment and we will be happy to help. And hey, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more career insights.